Greetings, Earthlings. It's Irene the Alien telling you to get your Drag Race fix on page 6.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Jason.
Welcome to the Werk Room Weekly. This is our home planet for all things Drag Race, RuPaul's Drag Race. We're obsessed, and you better be too.
Yes, and happy All-Stars 10. Can you believe it?
I know, we premiered 2 episodes on Paramount Plus this week, and we were also very lucky here at page 6. We had all 18 contestants. That's right, 18 contestants.
There was a lot of drag queens running through these halls earlier this week, and it was so much fun. It was so good. We kicked off their press week. They came in, they did an episode of Confession Cube, each of the brackets. So we already pubbed out the first one, and I can't wait to see where we go from here.
It's so amazing, and we're going to be recapping All Stars 10 every week right here at page 6, so don't miss that. And we're going to get right into it because there's a lot to get into with this season.
Yes. It's a very new format. We've got the Tournament of All-Stars. Like I said, we have 3 brackets of 6 girls. We just met our orange group for the first time. So we've got Aja, Deja Sky, Irene the Alien, Phoenix, Oivia Lux, and Bosco.
This is a stacked group. It's so funny because people always say like RuPaul's Drag Race is kind of like gay sports. It's like you have to show up at the bar, you have to watch it with your friends. And now they literally have a March Madness style bracket.
Yeah.
And there's points. I'm like keeping score. There's a leaderboard.
I was going to say there's jerseys hanging on the wall in the workroom. Like they are fully in their sports era, which is so exciting.
Yeah, it's so exciting. So the way it works, like for those who are still catching up, is 2 queens win a challenge at the end, win an episode, and they get 2 points each. Mm-hmm. But then they lip sync
for their legacy.
And then they get an extra point. The winner gets an extra point.
Yeah.
Then the 4 bottom queens get 1 point that they are able to divvy up to another queen. They can't give it to themselves.
No.
It's not like student council.
Not allowed.
You can't vote for yourself.
Kind of like participation points, but like at least that's how it went in the first episode.
Exactly. They played it nice.
Yes. I think with this season, especially with the bracket system, alliances have really come into play very quickly.
Yes.
You know, we have a lot of connections, especially in this orange group. You know, we have our Seattle girls, we have Irene and Bosco, we have our House of Miyake Mugler girls with Oivia and Aja.
That's right, Brooklyn.
Yes. And we also have the season 14 girls with Deja and Bosco. So there's a lot of connections already here. And we kind of saw those kind of play out.
2 to 3 alliances have already happened.
Yes.
And they're already falling apart. This is like Big Brother, Survivor style. You know, All Stars always kind of changes the format a little bit, you know. And this one is way more competitive because at any moment, the queen in the lead could get just completely sidelined and be 4th place and not move on to the next round.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's interesting to see with our first challenge. We didn't have a mini challenge in this first episode, but we had our maxi, which was the winner chicken dinner music video 80s rock challenge. There was a lot of concepts going into that one, but it was cool. I mean, what are your thoughts on, you know, the girl group challenges that we usually get every season?
You know, I don't know if we've seen a hair metal band challenge yet, and it felt like it was served up specifically for our Seattle queens. Mm-hmm. You know, obviously Seattle, Washington, birthplace of grunge rock, and our Irene the Alien has kind of stolen the show.
Yeah.
Like she not only like killed it at the challenge and was doing the like kiss tongue and was like totally destroying it, but you know, this is a real second chance for Irene because on her season she only had 1 chance to impress the judges and she was sent home week 1.
She made a glass of water. That's what she did with her 5 minutes.
All Stars is all about second chances, but for a queen like me who was only on 1 episode on my original season, this very much felt like my first Drag Race season. I was sort of experiencing everything for the very first time, so if this is my first season, I nailed it.
I forgot Irene existed. Irene Dubois originally, and now she's Irene the Alien, and now I am fully Irene pilled. I am I think she had the best runway look for episode 1. She came out with this like green skin alien, and I think in the challenge she also totally crushed it. Seemed like, you know, maybe it was more like hair metal by way of Broadway. This was, you know, School of Rock era, but it was still like super fun. And I thought Bosco also like super fun up there. They really looked like, you know, video vixens, and I thought it was a blast.
But also Aja, she really surprised. I mean, did she surprise? I mean, we know Aja can always turn the party, which is very exciting.
She's dropped multiple, you know, albums.
Yes,
and,
she did flex
it.
She did flex the discography in the workroom ahead of the challenge. But, you know, so I think she also had a leg up maybe going into this, and she delivered.
Because we know her as the queen that death dropped from a high box onto the floor.
Yeah.
anytime she doesn't do that, it's kind of like, well, what else you got?
Yeah, what's next, Aja?
She set such a crazy high bar for herself. But yeah, Aja came back, for All Stars 10, killing it.
So I think, Bosco definitely said that she had a lot to prove with this maxi challenge going into it. Thought, and if she was, I would say, pretty close. Like I said, they kind of said they were probably splitting hairs, looking at, who would have been that top two. But ultimately, it was Aja and it was Irene.
It seemed like Irene going into the lip sync was the first place and Aja was second. In my mind, they don't say that officially. Yeah. But then Aja won the lip sync and got the extra point.
I mean, it was really... What did you think of the and slits first runway theme?
Can we say that episode? On page 6?
I mean, we might blur it, but that's what the challenge was.
I loved it. I loved all the queens' interpretations. My favorite was Irene the Alien with the full, green, skin look. I also thought Phoenix turned it out with that
gimp suit
look. I was like, this is Club Kid, and Phoenix is from Atlanta. She's the oldest queen, I think, on the whole, out of all 18, which is only 43 years old.
I know.
When I gasped when Phoenix said, I was on the show originally when I was 29, now I'm 43. I was like, you could be 1 million years old at this point. In the way Drag Race, it's been on for 17 seasons, All Stars 10 seasons. If you were on season 3 or 4, you are a dinosaur at this point.
I know.
And she killed it on the runway. It looked hilarious with the zipper across the chest. It was so good.
Speaking of zippers, I think Bosco, I also have to give her flowers. I mean, both looks in this premiere episode, her entrance look, stunning, absolutely gorgeous. And then for her to continue with the zipper theme and then to have that with, she's serving body. Serving body.
She was given the substance because the zippers were on her skin.
Yes, I know.
And, she also opened up about her, body transformation. RuPaul met Bosco and was like, wow, you look different. She talked about getting, facial feminization surgery. And we met her in page 6 and when she came into the studio and she is stunning. Like a knockout.
Insane.
Intimidatingly beautiful.
Yes. Yeah. I found myself kind of stuttering.
Yeah, she's like 6 feet tall. It's really, she's stunning. And I think there's a very good chance that she will move on to the next bracket, the next round. But she didn't, snatch the win for episode 1.
I know, but I have faith. I think we'll definitely see a little bit more of her. For the guest judge for this season, for this episode, we had none other than Ice Spice, which, when I heard about it, I was like, okay, I'm excited. She didn't really give that much.
I barely recognized Ice Spice without Taylor Swift standing right next to her.
Very much that. Yeah. But she looked adorable. And obviously, we had to have an Ice Spice song for the lip sync for Your Legacy, which thank you, the fart. I don't know if that's the song from Ice's discography.
Parentheses fart.
Yeah, parentheses fart. Don't know if that's a song I would have picked, but the girls turned it out. I didn't know what to expect.
We didn't actually find out who was getting the extra points, though, until episode 2.
Correct.
I'm glad Paramount dropped both the first and the second episode at once because that's like a real cliffhanger.
Yeah, no, and it was good. It allows us to get, an idea of what the format's going to be. So yes, at the beginning of the second episode, the girls go back to the workroom. They have these 4 points up for grabs for our bottom 4 queens. And like I said, we were talking about alliances before. We didn't know, the girls initially were saying, okay, maybe we'll just give them to each other to keep things kind of even. Mm-hmm. But like I said, there was these alliances that were formed very quickly.
That's right.
And we had the Aja and Oivia alliance, and Aja had won the challenge, already has 3 points, and Olivia's like, I might give her another one. And everyone's like,
that was strategic. And I'm actually surprised Oivia didn't do that because she's a smart girl. And if she dumped her point on Aja, it would have prevented another queen that was tied with her from getting an extra point.
I didn't think about it that way. I
that would have been a little bit of a sabotage to her peers.
Yeah, I think I was more under the Phoenix impression where she was like, I didn't even think about that. Like, why would we give more points to someone who's already in the lead? But no, there is strategy to that.
It gets, if someone's a clear runaway in this format, then stack the points on them, and then it gets more competitive for the people below.
That is true. But it also put Deja in a weird position because she had an alliance with Oivia, which they formed literally when they walked through the door.
Was it the Melanin Alliance?
The Melanin girls, the Melanin sisters, which again, I think Aja then later joined. I don't know what it was, but it put Deja in a weird position because she was the last one who didn't get a point. And she was like, girl, our alliance, what are you talking about giving one to Aja? But, they did play fairly.
Nice. They played nice. Everyone kind of got their participation trophy.
Yes, they did.
Isn't the most strategic way, but if you're, talking in the workroom and not making friends, people are going to punish you, and you're not going to get to go on to further episodes. So this this kind of reminded me of the whole Shangela All-Stars fiasco, where Shangela kept getting, this is what, All-Stars 5 or whatever.
Yeah.
But Shangela was getting great critiques from the judges, and there was one vote by all the other castmates, and no one voted for Shangela.
I know.
Or they all voted to kick her off.
So I think right now they're playing nice. Will it continue? I don't know. But then we went into our first mini challenge. We didn't get a mini challenge in the first episode.
This mini challenge was full on Pornhub.
I was seated, eyes glued to the television. Anytime the pit crew come out, I'm ready. I'm there.
We had Bryce. We had Bruno.
Yes.
If you've never seen a second of RuPaul's Drag Race, just watching this mini challenge is like all you need.
Everything you need to know. Perfectly summed up. The point of it, none. The point was just to feed us. That was great. But the girls crushed it. Irene came on top again, which is, like I said, just Irene domination, at least in these first 2 episodes. So Irene came on top. And then we had another maxi challenge going into this one, which was a murder mystery whodunit murder on the dance floor improv challenge.
And the title of it is Murder on the Dance Floor, which of course is a reference to the second time around viral song, from the Saltburn movie and everything. It's always funny when they do an improv challenge. As a improv comedian,
flowers.
So much of it was scripted. The only part that was improvised was the one-on-one interview with RuPaul. But their characters are written ahead of time. Everything RuPaul said was written ahead of time, which is fine. I understand. It's like there's room for ad-libs.
Yeah. I thought it was actually pretty fun. Usually, the improv acting challenges aren't my favorite, but this one was cool. I think, a lot of people were really strong in it. I think
Bosco
all of them
was so funny.
So good.
Had the glass eye, but that's not the eye you think of. And where they lacked in Southern dialect skills, they all totally picked up and just camp and playing it up. And Bosco was hilarious. Irene, again, what a character. And we also got, I'll have to say this, Irene dropped it subtly that she has a BFA.
Yeah. Just sprinkle it.
Not an MFA, a BFA.
Yeah,
she has a Bachelor of Fine Arts. And she proved it. She did this full Marilyn Monroe, Megan Hilty, Smash, Death Becomes Her, Betty Boop, sex pot character.
Yeah.
And it was so funny. And she looked incredible. I'm can you tell I'm standing Irene the Alien, and then down the line I'm just gonna forget she's even in the show because of the way the format works.
Yeah.
I am in the bag for Irene. It's crazy.
No, it was so good. Her and Bosco really they delivered it, I think, within this one. And then we had our guest judge for this episode being none other than Coleman Domingo, who's literally been having his moment right now between the Met Gala and everything else. I'm always going to be on the Coleman train.
Of course, he's, won an Emmy. He's been Oscar nominated. But he mentioned on the show that he was actually on Logo's sketch show, the Big Gay Sketch Show from a million years ago.
Oh, nice.
So he sort of dropped that and was like, I played RuPaul on the show.
Yeah.
So he's been cooking for a long time. And actually, when the Queen stopped by here at Page 6, he was the guest judge that they were gushing the most about.
Yeah.
Check this out.
My favorite guest judge this season would have to be Coleman Domingo, just because I love his work. I love Fear the Walking Dead, and it was for a challenge that his expertise was really relevant for, and I felt very seen by him, so definitely feeling the Coleman Domingo love.
Came in, he was looking fine, and I was like, okay, what is this gonna be? And my baby father put it all on the line. He said, this is what it is, and also he told me some really nice things, so clock that T.
Coleman Domingo, I think for me, as a fellow Black artist, live.
Oh, he's a style icon. I love it when the judges know where they're going and they show up to Drag Race dressed appropriately, and he looked sickening.
I wouldn't say he's necessarily one of my celebrity crushes, but I admire a lot of things he's done. And I think that he's really good at what he does. And he's really good at the smizing. You look at him and you're just like...
On season 13, we didn't really have any guest judges. On my elimination episode, we did have Cynthia Erivo, so baby girl, good to see you back. But in general, I'm just living for this guest judge fantasy.
He's just so sweet. Adore him. Absolutely great. And then our runway theme for this episode was coming and going. Looks that look one way from the front and a different on the back. What'd you think?
Very creative. I think a lot of it looked like a lot of thrown at the wall. But once again, I loved Irene's. I thought that was really clever with the reveal with the, politician. She kind of looked like a Cindy McCain.
Yeah.
Politician's wife with the, alien inside the brain. I love that. And also Bosco. I mean, I died for that.
know.
I died for the coffin.
I know, the cinched coffin. And Elvira, like Ru said, I mean, a classic. We're all going to eat it up and love it.
And Bosco sort of was like, I know this is pandering. I know RuPaul has a few icons that she loves and has mentioned on the show. Cher is one of them. Elvira's another. But I'm like, if you can look like Elvira with those beautiful tatas,
yeah,
like, do it. Why hold back?
Yeah, I think they all looked amazing. I think it was a super strong runway category. I think Phoenix specifically had a really emotional and meaningful story behind her look. She mentioned, obviously the passing of her sister due to COVID. And it said, she found herself in this really dark place. And, she was really looking for like the sunshine throughout all of it. And, she said that her friends helped her make this look. And like, it's stuff like that where it's like, people who just started watching Drag Race 5 years ago, like, they don't get to see that. And that's the beauty of Drag Race, and specifically All Stars, is, we get to hear these stories and these journeys from these queens who have come so long ago.
Absolutely. This is why we watch the show. Like, buried under all like the jokes and, sexual innuendo, you've got like this really heartfelt story. And like the judges were all crying. Coleman was crying. RuPaul's crying. Like, Carson like takes off his glasses and he's like dabbing his eyes. Like, everyone, we're so moved by this moment. And Phoenix is like very brave to share that and to find a way to express that through their art. And I was like so touched by that.
Yeah, I'm really happy for her.
So of course the lip sync for the episode that's themed Murder on the Dance Floor is of course Murder on the Dance Floor by Sophie Ellis Baxter.
Yes.
Ross McKinley.
Yeah,
the Duchess
third.
of
Yes, Dupree.
UK pop sensation from the 2000s. They crushed the lip sync. It was Bosco and Irene, and it went to
Bosco. I know. I thought she was wearing this very like, it was looking like the Countess from American Horror Story Hotel. She was giving a very Lady Gaga moment. And I thought she was going to be swinging those things the whole time. And I was like, Bosco, please, like, give us something. Because Irene is turning it out.
Yes.
And then she took it off, was serving body like she was for the past 2 episodes.
Incredible.
And took it home with her.
Yeah, Bosco reminded us that, like, this is what she does. She's a burlesque queen, and she served the body yaddy yaddy.
She did, yes.
And now, 2 episodes in, we have kind of a tie game for half the girls and a tie game for the other half.
I know.
Most likely, we have front runners already.
Yeah, we do have Irene and Bosco tied for first place with 4 points. We have Aja closely behind with 3. And then we have Phoenix, Deja, and Oivia all with 1 point. We still haven't found out who are the bottom 4 are going to give their points to.
Right.
We'll get that at the beginning of the next episode. But like you said, there is kind of a pack pulling ahead. Are you happy with this pack? Are you hoping to see some people?
I am happy to see the Seattle girls have their moment. They both, kept coming up short on their seasons. I mean, obviously Irene really was the pork chop. She got cut in, the first episode. But Bosco, I also has that like that safe, just close enough, reputation. And, I love seeing her win, and I can't wait to see how she does up against the other groups, because the other groups are stacked.
I know. And we saw it firsthand. I mean, I'm excited for everyone else to see. But next week is the makeover challenge. I love a makeover challenge. I'm excited to see what shenanigans we get into with that.
It's the WNBA players.
Yes. We're keeping with the sports. Like you said, y'all need to be up on your sports literacy if you're watching Drag Race this season. So we've got that coming up, and that'll be our last episode, at least for a little bit, with our orange crew. And then we've got our pink bracket sashaying in very closely behind.
You were saying this before, that you might not see some of these queens for 6-7 episodes, with this format. So the bracket's a little brutal.
I know.
For screen time.
Yeah, but I'm excited to see. So make sure everyone keep locked in here. Workroom Weekly will be here every week, recapping RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars 10.
Don't forget to catch All Stars 10 streaming only on Paramount+.